Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another exciting episode of Mythic Banter. Before we begin, I just want you to appreciate that, my setup looks a little bit different because I moved my desks and I get to look at these amazing wardrobes. But, I get to have natural lighting from this side, which is absolutely great. I love natural lighting. It's one of my favorite things in the world. And you guys are like, but Rurikhan, look at your face. It's so goddamn dark. But you know what I also have? Production value, bitch. Wait, stupid light! No! It sabotaged me.
Production value of $1.
No, because I know the light can get stronger, but it's just it's not working right now for some stupid reason. Stupid light. Oh, there it goes. There it goes. See? Look, production value.
Oh, nice.
Look at that. This is my light.
It looks a little bit better.
What do you mean a little bit better? This is what you talking about? My lighting is better than yours right now, bro. You kidding me?
Dude, my lighting's perfect. What are you talking about? It's exactly what I want.
Nah. Anyway, I need to apologize to everybody. We didn't have a Mythic Banter last week. Now, I did mention in one of my streams, the reason we didn't have it is because there was Tokyo Game Show. Although, to be completely honest, we might as well have recorded because that Xbox showcase that happened on Thursday, because that was the thing. Xbox was having a showcase at 11 on Thursday, and that's usually overlapping with our recording time. And I was like, I want to do this Xbox thing, so probably should postpone Mythic Banter. It's like, no, that was a mistake, bro. Phil Spencer had nothing for us, bro. Phil Spencer had fuck all, dude. It was so bad.
Well, they did have something, and that was the insane increases, which we'll talk about.
We're gonna get into that a little bit further ahead.
Basically, he got on stage. I'm not saying he actually got on stage and did this, but basically he got on stage and said, guys, exciting news. We're about to make a lot more money off of you.
I think he got on stage, dropped his trousers and just went, suck it, bitch. That's what he fucking did. That's what he did. Phil Spencer just went full mask off. He's like, you know what? Y'all can suck my motherfucking dick. I'm done.
I'm done playing with you all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it was a pretty slow week all in all. When I was starting to put the show together, coming up with topics, usually we're swimming in topics, and this week it was like a couple of hours on Reddit just going, where the hell, what happened?
Yeah,
because I'm not as in tune with the gaming news anymore day to day. I sort of take time out of the week to look up all the gaming stories that's happening, because I'm spending way too much time reading political stuff and economic stuff.
Yeah, dude, I saw.
But usually it's so easy.
I saw your tweet the other day, bro. You are absolutely killing it on YouTube metrics. I'll give you that much. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, I know YouTube is.
Congratulations,
it's
bro.
been very kind to me.
I'm happy
Thank
for
you.
you. That's
Thank
fantastic.
You. Yeah, we're on 40,000 subscribers now on the main channel. It used to be my second channel, and now it's my main channel. And it's about 7,000 subscribers to go, and then it's past the main channel. Then it's destroyed the main channel.
The impressive stat for anybody that understands how YouTube works is not the subscriber count. You know it's not the subscriber count, bro. The impressive stat is those goddamn views. on a 40K sub channel, bro's pulling 800,000 views, almost 900. I was like, holy shit.
It's
fantastic.
Dude, it's been good.
That's really good.
It's been good, man. Yeah, thanks. I appreciate that. Yeah, it's been. Last month was even bigger. Month before actually was 1,000,001 views.
Yeah,
and then it was like 35,000 subs, right? So it's been good. I can't complain.
Good job.
God's been good to me. So yeah, it's been fun. But of course, we're back to doing the Mythic Banter, which is the whole point of all of us convening here every single week. And I want to start by saying a massive thank you to all of you that tune in every single week to watch this. We're not the largest podcast on YouTube by any means, but you guys show up and you communicate, you comment, and we love you for that. So thank you so much for that. It's one of the reasons we continue to do this is because it's so fun to see what you guys think of the coverage. And I know some of you get angry with the coverage because both me and Rurikhan have different things we like, and it happens to when Rurikhan likes something, sometimes it pisses off the people that like the stuff that I like. But then when I like something, it pisses off the people that like the stuff that Rurikhan likes. So we unite people in their anger in a way.
It's one of those things that I just hope that in watching this, people can understand that two individuals can have different views on gaming industry and on online topics and still just have civilized conversation without resorting to just name calling and absolute mudslinging. And we can all just like, hey, maybe more people can have conversations with themselves, understand other points of views. And you don't have to agree. That's the best part. You don't have to agree.
Yeah.
You can just like,
you
okay,
can be
listen,
friends. Because we're friends
think like
and
that?
It's perfectly fine.
I think like this, and that's all good. We don't even have to talk about it after we explained our points of view, and we can talk about other things that maybe we can relate to, or we can even not talk to each other ever again. But no need for mudslinging. Yeah. That is the point.
But I think it also helps. There's two ways in which it helps. The first is you sometimes change your mind on stuff by talking to people who don't see the things that you see, right? In the way that I've had impact on Rurikhan, he's had impact on me. But even if it doesn't change your mind, it helps to strengthen your own arguments, right? Because you're challenged. When you say something and you're talking to someone who doesn't agree with you, they challenge you, and maybe in the moment, you look stupid because you've never considered that argument, so you don't really have a counter. But then you can leave and go, okay, how would I counter that? And it allows you to, think more critically about your position.
Have arguments in your head for the rest of your life. That's a very healthy thing.
Hey, dude, I have arguments literally every single day of my life with myself.
That's a YouTuber thing, though, because we read the comment section and we just go like, that motherfucker. It just stays with you. And you're like, oh, you just have a million different arguments with that person in your head. They live rent-free right there.
Yeah.
It's so toxic.
But they also... The thing that annoys me most is I have learned a long time ago, don't feed the monkeys.
And then you feed them anyway.
I don't respond. I don't respond, but then because I'm not responding, I feel like they're winning.
Yeah.
Right? And so I leave there and I'm thinking, if I could respond, I would say this. I'd be typing at this. I would be,
slap
and then eventually you get so worked up that you're like, all right, I'm going to say something to this guy. And it never works out.
No.
Either the guy doesn't even see it, or he
it's like,
and this has happened multiple times. I'll respond with like 3 or 4 lines of response. And I can tell by their response to me, they read like the first few words and then just responded. So all of my argument is just like, I may as well have just written blah, blah, blah for the rest of it.
I have the perfect example of this, and the perfect example why you shouldn't do it. It's Randy Pitchford, bro. You remember when that guy just told Randy Pitchford, just optimize your thing? And Randy Pitchford comes out with a banger paragraph, make your own damn game engine. And bro just like, Lamau, touch the nerve? Like, that was his reply. Like the most dismissive internet throw. Lamau. Thrown at the CEO of a major developer company. But it's like, Lamau.
Yeah. Like, the thing I think that people need to learn, content creators specifically, have to learn is most people don't come to the internet to learn. And another thing that I have found, actually, this is a bit of an aside, so I apologize.
As always.
It doesn't have much to do. It doesn't have much to do with gaming, but it is actually quite nice. I live in South Africa, right? And so in South Africa, we have a lot of racist undertones in our society. If you go on X, if you go on YouTube, the amount of racism, not just from, not just from black people, although because black people are the majority, you see it a lot more, right? But it is everywhere. Like, I can open my X app right now, and within 2 seconds, I'll find a post blaming white people for something, right? And calling us white settlers and evil, and the revolution has to happen tomorrow and whatnot, right?
It's important to point out that, like, because I think our demographics are going to be mostly American, people are not going to have that viewpoint. They're not going to understand, wait, what? In South Africa, it's the other way around? Yes.
Yes. In South Africa, the population is about 60 million. 3.5 million of those are white. The rest are black and colored. Right, and in South Africa, colored is what they call themselves. So please don't call us black. Please don't call them black. That is an insult to them, because they have their own culture.
That I don't know how
they're
it works.
Not black.
That part I don't know.
No, it's fine. I just bring that up because Tyler, I've never listened to a Tyler song in my life, but I know she's a massive artist in America.
Who's
from
Tyler?
South Africa. Tyler is a colored girl that became super famous for some or other song in America. And in America, they view the word colored as an insult, right? It's bad. You shouldn't describe people as coloreds. Because people of mixed race in America also apparently consider themselves to be black.
And that was the whole thing, I think, in the 50s, where you'd have establishments where they would just have the sign that said no coloreds allowed and shit like that, which is giga racist.
Yeah, obviously, right? But so Tyler was asked in America, like, how dare you refer to yourself as that? And she was rightfully confused because in South Africa, coloreds are incredibly proud of being colored because it's a cultural thing, right? Their culture isn't the same as the black people in South Africa. In fact, I would say just calling black people in South Africa black might be an insult because there's about 9 or 10 different black tribes in South Africa, and none of them believe the same stuff. Like, they don't live the same. They don't have the same rituals and cultural stuff. So
I think sometimes because we are mostly exposed to like American and Western culture, it's easy to forget just how big Africa is. Like, I think a lot of people have, they probably think Africa is like the size of a United States state. It's like, no, brother.
No. Africa
is massive.
Yeah, Africa is massive. And so, because we have this sort of very thing, but anyways, like I said, the colored thing from Tyler was very interesting to see Americans sort of feel offended on behalf of colored people in South Africa when literally one of the political parties of the colored people in South Africa is called the Colored Congress.
Bro,
they call themselves because they're proud of it. It's their culture.
I just want to point out the amount of times you've said that word. We are so beyond the pale when it comes to monetization this episode because
luckily
YouTube AI bots do not give a crap. They're like, wait, you're saying what? You said it how many times?
True.
We don't care about the context. This matters nothing.
But
into the abyss
but luckily,
you go.
YouTube is letting go of a lot of their censorship, so we'll see if this one gets through. If it doesn't, hey, we tried. But okay, so the point I'm trying to make is when you go on social media in South Africa, it is a meltdown, right? Like, you will think, and I myself fall victim to it. You think that, hey, there's a massive race war brewing in this country. Black and white are going to start
and then you go outside
firing bullets at each other very soon. Funnily enough, you go outside and everyone loves everyone and everyone gets along and people make jokes. At my church,
impressive.
I'm friends with a bunch of black people at my church, love them to death, right? So in the real world, you don't see it. And then I discovered in my research for one of my videos, I discovered this polling site. It's a nonprofit that does polling consistently in South Africa. It's called Afro Barometer. And they do this every year. They do this survey sort of release. And one of the questions in their survey that they have asked since 1994 with the dawn of democracy in South Africa is, do you believe South Africa should get past its racist past and just move forward? So in other words, should we forget about apartheid? This used to be the question, and now they sort of changed the question to just, should we move past our racist past? And then you find that of black people in South Africa, 72% of them say yes. They don't want to think about the racist apartheid. They just want to move forward. They don't give a crap. Less than 50% of black people between the ages of 18 and 35 even know what apartheid is. Because they grew up in a free South Africa, right? They didn't grow up in apartheid. So it's what we need to realize is social media is designed to maximize bubbles.
Yep.
It's what it does. It sells you a bubble because if you're in your bubble, you'll continue to use the site. And it's very easy to look at that bubble and go, oh, everyone agrees with me. That means that anyone who doesn't agree with me must be evil. And except in the real world, that's not how it works.
And I think ultimately, and this is going to be something that a lot of people are not going to agree with me, but I think that ultimately a majority of people in the world are actually decent human beings. They are. But social media just enhances the voices of the bad apples, and therefore the way that algorithms are designed to provoke controversy and engagement and likes and clicks and retweets and whatever the crap, the people that have the most controversial takes always get pushed up. It is what it is.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I would just like to be pedantic and say compared to who, right? So I think overall, most humans compared to bad people are actually quite good, right? Most people don't want to oppress people, don't want to kill people, just want to live, want to go to a barbecue on a Saturday, have a beer with their friends. They're not out to ruin anyone's life. But it's so easy when you look at social media to think, all of these people from this side is just super mega evil. And they're not if you actually get to know them and move out of your bubble. But that's the problem. Social media is designed to sell bubble. It's what it does best. I think that's one of the reasons our podcast is so cool, is because it doesn't actually fit a single bubble, right? Because neither of us share the same bubble.
Yeah.
Like your social media is going to look very different to mine.
It sure does.
And so, we bring a bit of difference to the conversation. But talking about differences, let's talk about the poll. So we had 310 votes.
Listen, I'm going to get a stripper pole, put it right here.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to do like a spin.
Or what would be actually funnier is if you just get an actual Polish person to stand there and we just point to the Polish person onto the pole.
Whenever it's poll time, I'm like, yo, it's Polish name. Get in. And he just comes
Dmitry
in.
or something.
And he just
What's
sits,
a Polish
he just
name?
stays right here. It's just...
Yeah.
And you go through the poll and I'm like, okay, you can leave.
Yeah, but can someone in chat tell us what's like a proper Polish name? Like the most standard. So in Afrikaans, for example, the most standard
Polish name,
standard bog name is Piet.
Yeah, but it
like
needs to be
the most standard Afrikaans name.
Needs to be a Polish name started with P. Wait, I'm gonna Google that. Polish name starting with P. Patrick. Piotr. Oh, I know the Piotr. He used to work at Good Old Games. GOG.
Dude,
okay, some of these I can't
said
pronounce.
We're starting with P? But you said starting with P?
Yes.
I just typed in most common Polish name.
Okay.
Piotr. It's literally the most common Polish name out there.
Piotr. Yeah, but that one's hard to pronounce.
For women.
So we should go for Patrick. Patrick's another one. Or Pavel. Pavel's a good one. Pavel's easy.
Pavel is a good one, yeah. Pavel is easy. I can say Pavel.
Get Pavel the poll expert in here.
Or if you're not stuck on going with P, you can go with Jan, Jakub, Alexander, Franciszek, Krzysztof, and Andrzej. And I don't know how you want to pronounce that.
That's too hard. No, it needs to be P because.
Or you can go Anna. You can go Anna for women.
I'd say we go with Patrick or Pavel. One of those two. I think it'd be the best one.
Yeah, I'm good with that. If there is a Patrick or a Pavlo that watches our show and wants to be in the videos, just
yes.
Yeah, let Rurikhan know so you can just rock up at his house whenever we record. That would be the funniest thing ever.
Patrick, get in here.
So
it's
funny.
Full time.
Just no words, no lines, no participation. Just stand there as a whole podcast.
Does nothing.
Just looks uncomfortable. That's it. But okay, so in the poll 11 days ago now, because we didn't have anything last week, has Nintendo reached max villain status? I think next week's poll, if you're watching this, that's probably going to be the poll. Has Xbox reached max villain status? That's probably going to be the next one. But of the 310 of you that voted,
let me say my answer before we get started. No. They can be so much worse. You have no idea. You have no idea what's in store. They're just getting started.
It is like you read the comments, because 68% said yes, right? 22% said no. 8% said depends, comment, and then 2% just said show results. By the way, is the lowest show results we've ever had. So a lot of people wanted to vote on this.
I have to ask, so that means that 60% of people think that this is the maximum that Nintendo can turn the greed knob? No.
I don't think so. I think what happened more is a lot of people voted yes and then said they've already reached max, but that's not their max. Like, it's not their personal best. They've reached the world record insofar as what any other company has been able to achieve. But they still have gas in the tank in order to go for more personal best.
Like, listen, right? It's like Goku when he's going Super Saiyan. Nintendo just goes like, and this is to go even beyond. Doug Bowser starts growing hair because he's bald. Starts growing hair like a big long wig. Goes Super Saiyan 3. Oh,
yeah.
Man.
So most of the comments literally say exactly what you said, right? They voted either yes and then explained that they think they can go further, or no and they think that they're going further. There were some, like Mr. Capo, for example, that said no, but they are getting there. Which I'm not entirely sure. Of all the gaming companies out there, and there are plenty of bad ones, I think Nintendo is the most egregious.
No, not even close. I mean, come on.
Who do you think is worse than Nintendo?
Ubisoft, Electronic Arts. You have the stuff like NetEase, which is this what I call the skin job company. Like, come on, there's companies way worse and way more egregious when it comes to monetization. But absolute greed. The thing is, what Nintendo is very annoying in terms of what they're doing with their copyrighted stuff. But in terms of pricing and how fair they are for consumers, they're not even close to being the worst. They're really bad. Absolutely. Right now, they're being really bad. They're pushing the prices up to $80. They keep suing Palworld for completely nonsensical bullshit. They're just like going through their villain arc, like you said. So they're being really shitty about things. But there's way worse out there. Like, you got, like I said, Ubisoft, EA, fucking all of those Asian companies that just straight up go for the most egregious monetizations known to man. Like how in Diablo Immortal you needed to spend like over $100,000 to get like a proper character to play the game. No, bro. Like, no, Nintendo's not even close to being the worst, but they're pretty fucking bad.
Let me push back on that and say that with all of those other companies, you're not wrong. They're all very, very bad. But it is just you opting out of a single game or genre. With Nintendo, their bullshit is contained within their own protected platform, where they don't really allow any competition for themselves, right? So the games that they make, they won't allow competing games on their platforms. And they don't allow any other platforms to participate in it. So whenever they become scumbag, like they have, even with the Nintendo Switch 2, right? The upgrades that they sell to people just to be able to play the game with slightly better graphics on the new Nintendo Switch 2, it's like, if you want to play their games, you're forced to buy their bullshit. And there's no way around it.
And by the way,
they lock you into that ecosystem, whereas Ubisoft can't lock you into an ecosystem. They just make some games that you can avoid, and you can play literally anything else. Whereas Nintendo has this, it's sort of like Apple, right? Do I think Apple is significantly worse in terms of what they do than, for example, Samsung Galaxy or Samsung? No, Samsung is just as greedy as Apple. The difference is Samsung doesn't have the ecosystem that literally locks you into it and then makes it almost impossible for you to leave. Just the other day I was talking to someone who tried to switch from Apple to Samsung and ultimately went and gave their phone back. Not because they hated the phone, but because most of their numbers wouldn't transfer. Like, they just lost 50% of all their numbers. Most of their emails wouldn't transfer. They're like, what the hell? I'm trying to get this across, but Apple just won't let it go.
Apple is designed to like keep stuff in there, so they make it really. It's like it's like those ISPs, you know. Like, I recently canceled contract on an ISP, bro. It's been like a harassment campaign because everything is fine, but then they're just like, oh, are you sure? Oh, we have this promotion. Oh, we have this thing. And it's like, this isn't one phone call. This, like, these three things will be three separate phone calls. And then it's like, oh, and by the way, you have to give back the equipment. And by the way, this. At a certain point, my wife had given back the equipment, and they still called me 5 times asking me about giving them back the equipment. I was like, motherfucker, you already have it. Leave me the fuck alone. Lose my number. Okay? But getting back to the Nintendo thing, there is one more thing that that you can use when I'm saying that they're not the worst and all of that stuff. There is one more thing that I have to acknowledge that I almost slipped my mind because I've been sleeping very little on account of something that we'll talk about later. But Nintendo is also designed for a much younger audience. And that does increase the level of egregiousness and villainness because, you know, it's a whole different thing when you have to deal with games that are for adults. And if you're an adult and you let yourself get fooled by Diablo Immortal, it's like a fool and his money are easily parted. But if you're a 13-year-old, you're like, Daddy, I need the $80 game. Daddy, I need the $80 game. That is fucking vicious. That is pretty fucking vicious.
But, I mean, the other companies like Ubisoft and all of those Asian companies, they love Nintendo because Nintendo is training the next customer.
Exactly.
To accept the nonsense, right? So do we now agree that Nintendo is the most evil of all of the companies?
I guess we can put them on par with some of these other ones because, like, the big thing for me, I just want you to understand, the big thing for me, what bothers me the most is the monetization schemes that a lot of these companies do. And when it comes to that, Nintendo is nowhere close to being the worst. I'm very focused
that is true.
in monetization things, and that's I always view things from a monetization angle, sometimes even to my detriment, but it's like I'm always focused, okay, what is the business model of this thing? How egregious is it? Because that's the most important thing for me. Because it's the age-old thing that we always say, which is if you monetize a game in like a pay-to-win way and whatever, and you have like a bunch of people in the community coming out and saying, actually, it's not that bad. You can totally do it in the free-to-play, but yada, yada, yada. But then it's like, but you understand the incentive that is there to completely, you know, sabotage your gameplay, and it will happen. It's not a matter of if, it is a matter of when. When are they going to turn the screws? Which is also something that we're going to be talking about real soon. Turning the screws.
I mean, literally going to be talking about it now to some extent. This is literally almost all of the topics we have is about either people getting the screws turned on to them, which is in one of these will actually make me happy because I can't wait for that full blowout. But now let's talk about how Xbox is planning to absolutely bend you all over.
Yep.
Well, us, because I also have Xbox Game Pass, and they're gonna take their fingers like this, right? So this is full Spencer. Just stay there. Take the two fingers, pants down, undergarments down, prepare and launch. No loop.
Yep.
No loop. Just straight in there raw.
He's just gonna fuck you raw. Doesn't give a fuck. It's that easy. So for those of you that don't know what's happening,
it's insane.
I'll just read you the headline and then we'll get into it. Microsoft increases price of Xbox Game Pass Ultimate despite record subscription revenue last year. Now, I want you guys to understand, this is not good revenue. This is not good profits. Record subscription revenue. That means the highest it's ever been. Now, I want you guys to understand, what exactly does this mean? It means that there is no limit to the greed. The more money you give them, the more money they'll want. Because again, this wasn't a good year for them. This was the best year for them, which is ridiculous. In the best year for them, they close down studios. They fire literally thousands of people. Okay, I think it might even be in the tens of thousands. I don't remember the exact numbers, but absolutely thousands of people being fired despite record profits. And then they increase the prices on your ass. Now, I've always said that Game Pass is very much fantastic value when it comes to your average gamer. But you remember how I've always said, but it's not for me. I don't want to consume games like I do Netflix. And one of the reasons is, I don't want to be dependent on it because I expected this to happen. I expected them to turn the screws at some point, and that point is now. So what they've done, and I'm not even exaggerating when I'm telling you this, is the classic 90s drug dealer scam, which is like the first one's free, the next one's going to cost you. So they're
gonna get you.
Yeah, so they basically, they gave, because if you remember, there was a time where Xbox Game Pass was like $1 a month for the full year, for your first year or for your first 2 years. I forget how much it was.
I had that. That's how I first signed up, was $1 a month.
They got you with the freebie. That was the freebie, okay? $1. I mean, come on, $1. That's pretty much free. $1
yeah, we were giving it away.
That's free. They're giving it away. It was $12 a year for ridiculous amounts of video games.
Oh, dude, wait. Before you continue, I just have to say this. So, yeah, sorry, this isn't about Xbox, but you just said something that I need to share with you. So yesterday, I finally I'm like, okay, I've had enough of Adobe because I can finally cancel my Adobe subscription without it costing me insane amounts of money. For those of you that don't know, Adobe
is a scam.
Dude, they're so greedy. So when you sign up to Adobe, you can't actually sign up for a monthly payment scheme. Well, you can, but it's not how it works.
Yep.
You sign up for a year, but then you pay monthly. Now, this is how they get you. If you try to cancel at any time during that year, you have to pay 50% of the remaining balance of the year because you signed up for a whole year. So legally, they're allowed to do this. So yesterday, I could finally cancel my Adobe subscription, and it would just cost me like $285, not dollars, rands, which is like maybe $10. So I could finally do that. The next screen, they go, "Are you sure? Do you really want to do this?" And I'm like, "Yes, I really want to do this."
And then it's crashed
I thought that's it. No, I thought that was it. No. There's another screen that asks me, "Are you sure?" But this time, they're sweetening the deal.
Oh, yeah.
They're like, hey, if you continue your subscription now, you will have this price fixed for the next 12 months. So if we're increasing prices, your prices will not be increased. And then the one after that, now this is how they get you. They go, "Hey, if you choose this option, we'll give you the next 3 months for free. You don't even have to pay for it.
Yeah, first one's free.
And after that, this will be your subscription." And I was so tempted to go, okay, maybe I should just stick here. But then I was like, no, I don't want to pay monthly for a thing that should be a purchase.
What is the software that you still need Adobe for?
I use Photoshop. That's the only thing I use it for.
Just use Affinity, bro. I told you a million times, just use Affinity.
I'm going to switch to Affinity now. I'm going to switch to Affinity now.
Because like the thing is,
because
it's so similar to
so much.
It's so similar to Photoshop, you'll barely notice the difference. Especially if you're just doing basic shit like me, which is thumbnails. You barely notice the difference. The only thing,
but that's the thing,
Affinity doesn't have is some of the generative AI shit. Because like I've heard that Photoshop has some really potent generative AI now. Affinity doesn't have, at least as far as I'm aware, it doesn't have a lot of that. But other than that, Affinity, here's the other thing. Affinity is actually better performing than Photoshop. And I'm not talking by a little, okay? I'm talking by a fuckload. Affinity is so much better optimized than Photoshop. It is ridiculous.
Yeah, I'm going to switch to Affinity now. But I was using Photoshop just because that's what everyone used, you know, and I got used to it. And so it was like, okay. But based on how I use my Photoshop, I don't see the point in having Photoshop because my thumbnails is literally a black background with like a red halo, the face of a politician in South Africa, and writing in white. That's it.
There you go.
And most of that, I would say 90% of that is a template that I don't add in. I just have the template there. I just add the face and the text, and then I'm done. So yeah, I'm switching to Affinity. But anyways, I just wanted to share that story with disgusting monetization.
Back to the turning of the screws of Microsoft. So essentially what they did is they got you hooked with that $1, $12 a year, whatever. And after that, they're like, okay, now it's going to go to the normal price. And you're like, oh, that's fine. I mean, I got access to a ton of games. This is fine. And then a while back, they raised the prices already. Like, this isn't the first one. So what they've been doing...
it used to be $14.99 for the Ultimate.
You know what?
It used to be $14.99 for Ultimate.
The most hilarious thing to me is how everybody is aware of the boiling frog theory, which, by the way, I think that people have tested that in real life and it actually doesn't work. Like the frog will actually jump out of the boiling pot.
Yeah, probably.
But regardless of that, everybody is aware of the boiling frogs thing that everybody always talks about, but everybody still fucking falls for it. I think it's impressive how many people are aware of it, but then the companies increase the price and people are like, yeah, sure, fine, I guess I can. It's just this time they're really turning the screws. They're really going like, you pay pigs, just keep fucking paying because you're fucking pay pigs. Guess what? Now we're really going to raise it. This one's going to be the real big one. Pow! And the best part is them selling it as if it's like a good thing. Like I remember seeing the tweet that they put out. Let me see if I can find it. Here it is. 2 words, more rewards. Check out how you can earn more rewards with Xbox. Yeah. That's the tweet. I'm like, wow, dude. It's like
more rewards for a lot more money.
It's almost like 2 words, no lube.
Yeah, 100%.
People to cheer. It's like, we've been fucking you in the ass real good, and now we're taking away the lube. Just you wait.
Well, effectively what they did, so for those of you, $19.99 up to $20.99. $29.99 now, right? So $30 per month. It's no longer cheap to have Xbox Game Pass.
Yep.
$30 a month is a game. Like that's a full-blown indie game, sometimes 2 or 3 indie games on sale that you're now spending on Xbox Game Pass. Now they do. What makes it a sweet enough deal is the fact that you will have access to over 400 games rather than the 200 games that you have access to with Xbox Premium, because they now also brought in an Xbox Premium thing. But they've kind of screwed the Xbox Premium, because Xbox Premium will now no longer have access to day 1 releases. Instead, Xbox Premium will now have to wait up to a year before they can get day 1 releases. Whereas Xbox Game Pass Ultimate now gets the day 1 releases.
So wait, regular Game Pass used to get day 1 releases, right?
Yeah. And normal Game Pass used to get it.
So when did they change it to only Premium getting day 1 releases?
Literally with this.
Oh no, wait a minute. So there's 3 tiers, right? There's the Xbox Basic, the Xbox Premium, and the Xbox Ultimate, right? Something like that?
Ultimate. Yeah.
So the basic one used to get the thing.
I don't know if basic. I've never been on basic. I've only ever been on the second tier one.
Because you needed it for the PC games, because otherwise it's just Xbox, I think, right? Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
but I think I could swear that the basic version of Xbox Game Pass used to get the day 1 releases, and I was curious as to when they removed that from the basic version and put it on Premium, and now they're removing it from Premium and putting it on Ultimate. It really is the thing where they're just funneling you. They're like, no.
They're just slowly funneling you towards
We want you to spend the most amount of money. Okay, that's what we want from you. We want all of the money. We don't want a little bit. We want all of it. And by the way, I want to let people know, because I always know that this type of stuff boils down to console wars. Because the bunch of console warriors out there on Twitter and all of this stuff, and rather than trying to unite with people that are on other platforms to actually make gaming better, they're like, no, my fucking shiny box is better than your fucking shiny box, and bang, it's like a bunch of fucking crybabies online. It makes me fucking sick every time I see that shit. But the best part is that whoever's on the Xbox's campsite, they're going to feel the need to justify this and to defend this and all of this stuff. And to those people, I just want to make sure that they understand, you don't have to suck Phil Spencer's dick. This is a choice that you
could say no,
that you are actively making. But there are going to be people that are going to be defending this 100%. They're going to be defending all of this shit. And I want those people to know that you defend this, and next year it's going to be 45. So the dick is just going to keep getting a little bit longer and a little bit wider every single time, and they're going to apply less and less lube, and eventually there's going to come a time where it's not going to be lube anymore, it's going to be sand, and they're going to fuck you until their dick is covered in glass. Okay, I want you to understand that analogy real good. I just wanted to make sure you understand.
That's
so that's what you're going to get. All you console warriors out there that are going to be going like, actually $30 is pretty fucking you're going to be going like, $30 is pretty fucking And you're going to feel it coming up your ass. That's what's happening. And next year,
I think
they're going to turn the screws on you again. And you're going to defend it again because you're a little pay pig bitch. And then the year after, they're going to turn the screws on you again until you're paying $100 a month, which will mark my fucking words. 10 years from now, this shit going to be $100 a month. And you motherfuckers still going to be lining up to suck Phil Spencer's dick. 100% guaranteed. Same thing happens on the PlayStation side, by the way. I'm not taking sides in this shit because all of you fucking console warriors out there need to chill the fuck out and realize that your magic little box that plays video games is just a fucking piece of technology. It's just a PC at the end of the day. Okay?
Yeah. Well, that's an insult to PCs, but I'll let that slide because I want to make a bigger point. I have to get in on the console wars just a little bit here.
Prod him a little bit.
Yeah, just prod him a little bit. No, we all unite against the mobile gamers, so you guys are brothers in arms on that one. But I think what people oftentimes miss and what people don't realize, these corporations, and you actually have to respect it a little bit, they are unbridled in their greed and unashamed of it. They are maximum greedy. The thing that sets the price for them, there is no upper limit. There is no internally. They're not discussing what is the money that we have to charge in order to make this a good service.
No.
Their question is, what is the money that people will be willing to pay?
And they have psychologists and economists and all of these people doing market research just to design to figure out how much they can extract from your wallet. So right now you're seeing a ton of blowback and pushback from the community and all of that stuff. But the reality is, and I think a lot of people don't understand this. The reality is, this isn't just a move out of, it is a move out of sheer greed, but what I mean is it's not dumb greed as people think. It's not like, oh, Phil Spencer's fucking stupid or whatever, whoever's making these decisions is fucking dumb. It's like, no, they've done the market research. They know that you can afford it. They know that a lot of you are going to defend it. They know that a lot of you are going to make a big fuss about it, but you're still going to fucking pay for it. And they're willing to take the hit on the people that won't because they know that the people that will is going to make up for that. So because I've seen yesterday, a lot of people are posting on, below the post that Xbox did. A lot of people are posting like their cancellation and shit and all of that stuff. I just want to make sure that people understand, for each, let's say, 1,000 people that have canceled their service, there's at the very least 10,000 people that are going to do fuck all about it. Because it's a game of millions of people. And like we've always stated, there's a lot of people that consume media, but out of that group, only a very small portion of that group consumes the media and is active in social media. It's a very small, much smaller than the bigger pie. And Microsoft is just willing to take the hit from all of the people on social media because they don't give a fuck. Because ultimately, if there's I forget how many millions there were in the service. I think it's like at 50 million or 30 million or something like that. I forget, but let's say it's 50 million. If there's 50 million people...
30-something, 33 million.
30-something million? Okay, let's say 35. Right, 35 million. Out of the 35 million people that are subscribed to Game Pass, I would be shocked if more than 5 million give a fuck about this price update.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you.
So it's like, even if you take away the profits of those, of those 5 million, the other 30 million, because they're going to keep paying the increased price, is still a massive uptick in revenue. So Microsoft doesn't give a fuck. You can scream all you want on the internet, which you should. By the way, you absolutely should. You make your voice heard, all of that. I agree. I'm just telling you, it's not going to make a damn bit of difference because we've let it come this far. And at this point, Microsoft just doesn't give a fuck. They're doing the market studies and they know that this price increase will work. There's nothing these fucking people will do. There's nothing they can do because not everybody is online. Not everybody is checking social media and all of that stuff. So they don't care. They don't give a fuck. It's just that simple.
I'll put it to people this way. Think about what I say to you. Their question internally is, how much are people willing to pay?
Yeah.
This means that you and you alone have all of the power. Because if you're not willing to pay that, they will have no other option but to lower it. They will have to, right? I just saw a study, I think 2 or 3 days ago. So, everyone warned that Trump's tariffs are going to lead to record inflation and stuff in America. And then the study came out that showed that producers, and specifically producers in China, are eating 69% of the tariffs on their own. They're not passing it on to consumers. Why do you think that is? Because the producer wants to eat 69% of that tariff?
Because
No, because they know that people won't pay for that increase in the tariff, right? That's not to say prices haven't increased. In some states they have, in other states they've remained relatively stable. But that's also just the nature of people not understanding how inflation works. Because even though inflation is quite low in America now, it doesn't erase the fact that for the last few years under Biden, inflation has been extremely high. So unless you can get inflation to minus inflation, prices are not coming down. But that's a whole different story.
Yeah.
And I won't go into that too much. The point I'm trying to make is, unless we as gamers say to Microsoft, sorry, no, we don't mind that you guys want to charge money, right? That's perfectly fine. You're offering a service and you deserve to make money from that service. But we're not willing to pay $29.99. They will charge $29.99. And guess what? Next year, they'll charge $39.99. And the year after that, $49.99. Because their only question is, how much are they willing to pay?
But the problem...
That's it.
The problem still remains the same, which is like, we can't reach the people that we need to reach, especially because of the way that algorithms work and shit like that, which algorithms at this point almost feel designed to limit our reach as creators.
Oh, yeah.
So therefore, we can't reach the people that we need to reach, which is the normie audience that is willing. They're going to pay those $30. They're not even going to think twice about it. They're like, yeah, whatever the fuck. I don't care. They're probably already paying like the subscription of Netflix, HBO Plus, fucking Apple TV, and God knows what else. And they don't even remember that they're paying for those subscriptions because people have too many things to do. And that's the business model of subscriptions. That's why I don't like subscriptions. That's the business. They're counting on you to forget that you've subscribed, and it just automatically, does the thing.
That's why the father of free markets, Adam Smith, said the free market capitalist system is designed on the basis of a well-informed and educated society.
Which we don't have because our education system is a piece of fucking dog shit.
Because it was designed by the government, controlled by the corporations to ensure that you're a little sheep.
To make you dumb.
That you're a little sheep that just says, oh, $29.99, what a bargain.
Yeah.
I guess I'll pay that. And so we just keep marching on. Speaking of people just marching on, let's talk about EA. Now, I want to set the stage on this one just a little bit, guys.
Shit.
EA
Here we go.
is let's talk about my favorite game from EA, Dragon Age the Veilguard. I think Dragon Age the Veilguard is the perfect example of what EA became. EA went from being an incredibly well-respected company, making Mass Effect, making Dragon Age. At least Dragon Age 1 and 3 was pretty decent, or Inquisition, I guess you would say. Dragon Age 2 was alright, but definitely not their best work. But they were well respected. In fact, I would go so far as to say that by the time Dragon Age 1 came out, EA had established themselves with Baldur's Gate 1, Baldur's Gate 2, Mass Effect 1, Mass Effect 2, I think at the time. They had established themselves as the leader of RPGs.
I don't think that Baldur's Gate came out when BioWare was under EA.
No, but BioWare sort of, I'm trying to make a point of what BioWare became under EA, right? They were the market leaders in terms of RPG storytelling. If you go over to the side of EA, EA were the market leaders in terms
Sports
of,
game.
I remember my friends were massive fans of the Battlefield franchise and I had friends who preferred Battlefield to Call of Duty because Battlefield was these massive, large open world maps that you could just, properly partake in war, so to speak. EA was the absolute market leader in sports games, and their sports games were good. They had phenomenal sport games. So EA as a company was incredible. And Dragon Age the Veilguard, I think, shows the descent of EA. I would say FIFA and Madden, but at this point, I mean, those games are on a trajectory to hell, right? So they can't go down any further. They're already every single time. I don't know why I do this because I don't play sports games, but I never miss a single episode of Angry Joe when he's talking about Madden or FIFA because he gets so angry about the exact same stuff every single year. Like nothing ever changes. It's always the same complaints every single year from him. And he gets so angry at it. So EA just became this incredibly bad company. And the reason I bring up BioWare specifically is outside of the insane greed and the lowering of quality, the lowering of quality video games, but also the lowering and the sort of degrading of storytelling at BioWare, EA also became an incredibly woke company. A company that pushes very hard into left-wing politics, very hard into trans and gay and all the flag issues and alphabet people and all the rest of it. And so EA turns around, and someone needs to explain this to me like I'm 5 years old. EA turns around and they say, hey, hold up. We have an idea. We, this incredibly woke, progressive company, what if we sold ourselves to the private equity firms Silver Lake Partners and Saudi Arabia's sovereign wealth fund? Like, what if we sold out to Saudi Arabia? Would that help at all with our progressive politics?
I don't listen, at the end of the day, whether or not people consider EA to be woke or not woke, I look at it like I've always said on a game by game basis. There were definitely some woke elements that were very poorly handled in Veilguard, which is something that I mentioned that I actually thought ended up being a net negative for the community. And I've received quite a few comments from people from the LGBTQ community in my video saying, yes, you're correct. A lot of these were very poorly represented, and it's actually a net negative for a lot of us. But regardless of that, regardless if you agree with me or not, what I can tell you about this particular deal is exactly what me and Accolonn have been saying all along, which is all this bullshit is performative. It's all performative. They don't give a fuck about you. They don't give a fuck about anybody. They give a fuck about the almighty dollar. That's what they care about. Because if they actually cared about any of the things that they talk about in these video games, if they actually cared about Tosh and all of this stuff, they would never in a million years sell to a Saudi Arabian company.
Yeah, I would like to point out to people who don't know. So Saudi Arabia's version of inclusivity is including gay people in the throwing off of buildings. That's how they go. They deal with the gay people. It depends on where you go, right? They're very creative in how they get rid of the problem.
It's obviously fucked up, and neither of us support that shit. Like, you should be able to be whatever the fuck you want to be, as far as we're concerned. I'm pretty sure that conservative. I don't even know if it's correct to say conservative Muslim company. I don't know if that is what it is, because I don't keep in touch with all of this politics and all of this stuff.
It's just,
but I would imagine that
in
Saudi Arabia, I would imagine they're pretty conservative over there, and that all of these types of issues and representation stuff like that, they probably don't give a fuck, or are actually very negative about the whole thing. That's been my impression from what I read on the internet, at least.
Yeah. So here's the thing. You'll notice that every single year during Pride Month, none of the companies update their logos in Saudi Arabia. None of them. And the reason for it is they'll be banned instantly. Saudi doesn't play progressive games. Now, conservatism only means to conserve, right? So there's no one conservatism. It simply means to conserve that which worked, right? So conservatives aren't necessarily any one thing. Conservatives in Europe, for example, look very different to conservatives in America. In France, for example, you get conservatives who want to bring back the king, you're going to get no American conservative that goes, let's get a king.
Let's get a monarchy back together, boys. This democracy shit has done it, has run its course. We need a king up in this bitch.
I happen to actually support monarchies much more than I do democracy. But but it's a whole different monarchy. It's not the monarchy of the past.
Yeah, I would imagine not, because the way nobility used to work, it's pretty fucked up. It's like, let's get the most qualified person in here. No, my son, the brain-addled fool, he's going to run this place. Don't you worry about that. He's going to fix it up real nice.
The history actually shows us that most kings were actually incredibly good, right? The reason we know of only the bad kings
I wouldn't know about that.
No. I watched a number of historians actually speak on this topic. We know of the bad kings because that we make movies of them, right? Bad kings oppressing their people. But over the course of history, most kings were actually incredibly good, and there's a reason for it. The king didn't really rule his own land, right? The king ruled the nobles. The nobles ruled the land. The nobles were reliant on peaceful and happy peasants, or otherwise they would deal with uprisings, right? And the peasants outnumbered all of the nobles. So the nobles had a sort of vested interest in making life as good as possible for the peasants, so that the peasants would pay their taxes and that the peasants would join the military. Because whenever the king wanted to fight, he needed the soldiers from the nobles, right? So most kings were not evil, and where evil kings were, they would usually be replaced within a decade or two by violent means.
I just find it hilarious the way that you just said the nobles would be nice to the peasants, and I was like, I'm just picturing a noble going like, I'm feeling rather nice today, so you only get 10 lashes instead of the usual 50. Am I not merciful?
Well, but again, this is sort of our view of it because we watch Hollywood
fuck
movies
your wife
and
twice today.
But
am I not merciful? It's like, come on, bro.
So the thing actually with monarchies, and we're getting a bit off topic here, but the thing actually with monarchies is that throughout history, most peasants couldn't even tell you who their nobleman was. That's how little the nobleman interfered with the peasants.
Because they didn't have time to even think about it, because they spent all the time fucking working like slaves.
No.
That's why they called them serfs.
We now actually know that the peasant of old were much freer than you or I.
No,
like there were far fewer rules on them than what there is on us.
We're not going to agree with this, and I don't have the research to argue for it. So
there's a simple taste for it. When you want to take out your trash, think about all of the rules your government has for how you're allowed to take it out, what you're allowed to take out, where it needs to go, what bins it have to go in. What happens to you when you don't put it in the right bins? What happens to you when you put your bins in the wrong place or on the wrong day or at the wrong hour? What happens to you if your bins stay out for long enough? All of these are rules that peasants never dealt with because nobles
have those rules.
They didn't have the resources or even try to enact those resources.
Accolonn, so I can grab my trash right now, walk outside, throw it in the middle of the street, walk back in, and there's going to be no repercussions whatsoever.
Yeah, but that's why Portugal is going to fall.
I don't do that because I'm a civilized fucking human being, and I take it out to the bin and I drop it in there like a civilized person should. But yeah, if you do that, nothing real bad's gonna happen.
But that's because Portugal is an anarchy. But
no,
everyone else,
but no, beautiful the point country, is just that, sir. I'll have you know.
No, I firmly agree with you. If you like anarchy, of course. No, I'm joking. I know actually very little about Portugal. But the point is just that the research shows that what we think of as kings isn't really kings. But the point is, conservatism is different everywhere. The one thing that is true is that Muslim countries do not look favorably upon progressive politics in any way, shape, or form.
But I think
even as a Christian, right? I can say as a Christian. Sorry, I just want to make the point so that people understand. As a Christian, if you ask me, is homosexuality wrong? Absolutely. Is it a sin? Absolutely. Should you be killed for it? Absolutely not. Should you be allowed to be gay? Absolutely. Because if we're talking about sins, I look at a woman and I lust. That's a sin. Should I be killed because I look at a woman and lust? I would hope not. That would be very bad, right? Should I be killed for lying? Because sometimes I do lie, or I stretch the truth. Probably not, So in terms of that, I can look at it. Muslims don't quite look at it that way because and this isn't all Muslims, I should say, fundamental Muslims, right?
Because guess what? Just like every other person and group of people in the world, each Muslim person is an individual. I know, crazy.
Yeah. But in Muslim fundamentalist countries, so in the majority of your Muslim states, they view the death of a homosexual person as a mercy on the homosexual person, because Allah views it as such a grave sin. Then if you allowed them to live, they would continue to invite the wrath of Allah. And so killing them is actually a mercy to them, right?
That's so incredibly fucked up. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, but that is their belief. And if you're a progressive that doesn't believe in a universal morality, because unless you're a Christian or unless you believe in God, you can't really believe in a universal morality. There's no way for you to say that it's wrong or isn't wrong, because based on what, right? It's how they believe it should be done.
I don't agree with that. I have some morals. What do you mean?
It's not about whether or not you have morals, right? So non-Christians can absolutely have morals. The question is, what is the basis of those morals? And can those morals be applied to everyone equally? So, for example, can you say that what the Muslims in Saudi Arabia is doing by throwing people off rooftops, is that good or bad?
It's bad.
Right? And if you say but if you say it's bad, why is it bad?
Because they're going to kill somebody, and that person doesn't deserve to die.
Yeah, but why don't that person deserve to die?
Because nobody deserves to die unless they do something terribly wrong, and this person has done nothing wrong.
Yeah, but why?
What do you mean, why? They've done nothing wrong. Being gay is not doing something wrong, therefore they don't deserve to die.
Not according to Muslims, what they do is very wrong, and therefore they should be killed. So why is it wrong for them to kill that person?
I mean, that's something that they need to figure out for themselves. For me, that's wrong, and they shouldn't be allowed to do it. But
yeah. But this is the point I'm trying to make, right? So unless if you don't have God,
what I'm saying is, I don't have to be a Christian to see that point.
No. You don't have to be a Christian in order to have good morals, because all were created in the image of God, and God is the ultimate moral giver. So all people will have some modicum of morality. The point more is in an argument, right? So when I want to say, for example, why can Saudi Arabia not just kill gay people? For all people were created in the image of God. And therefore, us just slaughtering people for no reason is not a good reason, because you're killing people that belong to God, and God is the final judge. He says that, right? So ultimately, I can make that argument, and it can be universal because I believe in a universal moral giver. Whereas it becomes more difficult. Someone like Sam Harris has tried to make an argument of some kind of spiritual morality that exists that everyone can plug into, because he also recognizes that in atheism, it's incredibly difficult to argue for universal morality. I've literally had a discussion the other day with a leftist who said to me, no, there's no such thing as universal morality. And I asked them this exact same question. Is it wrong for Saudi Arabia? I didn't use Saudi Arabia. I just said, is it wrong for Muslim countries to throw gay people off of roofs? And they were like, no, if that's what they believe. And I was actually surprised at the honesty of it, because that is the most honest interpretation. Because oftentimes when you speak to people who believe in this sort of they think morality comes from what the group thinks, right? So if we as a society decided that this is wrong, then it's morally wrong, right? But the problem with that is societies can change and people can start thinking different things. So if someone like if the majority of people in Saudi Arabia thinks it's okay to kill gay people, then morally it is okay to kill gay people, because the majority thinks that it is, right? And you might not agree with it, but you don't live there. You don't get a say, right? And that's sort of the problem with it. But that's all different theological discussion that I think most people won't get into or won't be able to get into. I just want to reiterate, I'm not saying that if you're an atheist or you don't believe in God, that you can't be moral. Of course you can.
I think
there's plenty of non-believers who do incredibly good and nice things for other people. And all of us have that capacity in us, just as all of us have the capacity to be incredibly evil. right? Including Christians.
Which
be
by the
very,
way,
very evil.
I want to make it clear. This doesn't necessarily mean that I'm discarding your beliefs, as in like, oh, I don't have to be a Christian. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that not even that I don't believe in God. I'm saying I think that what people classify what I am is agnostic. So it's like I don't necessarily believe or not believe. It's like maybe there is something greater than us out there. I don't know. I just don't know. That's just the way that I look at it. But the thing is, one of the other things that I just wanted to bring up is I think one of the biggest problems we have in the world right now, and I don't know how we got there, but one of the biggest problems we have in the world right now is quite simply lack of empathy. And if people were more empathetic, things would be very, very different. And I feel like the more we get plugged into social media and shit like that, we become less empathetic, because I constantly see people just being like, yeah, fuck that guy. If that guy dies tomorrow, it wouldn't make a difference to me. It's like, wait, this is a person. Unless he's a fucking like criminal that's done some heinous shit, you should care whether or not this person dies, because it's a fucking human being. Like it's so messed up. But there's also no empathy.
Yeah. So I would just like to say, on the first of it, I take no offense to anything that you said. I don't care, right?
Damn, I don't care about anything you say.
No.
Mask off.
I don't take offense to it, right? I don't take offense to it. I would obviously love if you would accept Christ and come to know Christ. That would be my hope for you. But I'm friends with you in spite of that, right? It doesn't matter to me. It doesn't change my view of you.
I don't necessarily think I never will. Who knows?
I would love that. I would welcome you as a brother in Christ immediately. But I have a lot of atheist friends, and I have a lot of agnostic friends, right? And these types of conversations are super interesting with my friends, because they're also open-minded and willing to go, oh yeah, okay, that's a good point. Or maybe they push back, and I go, oh, well, okay, I never actually considered it that way. Kind of like what we do in this podcast.
Yeah, like here's something that I will say, which I feel like I had a stage in my life where this hasn't been the case. It's like when you're younger, you just have these viewpoints that maybe aren't the best. But I definitely had a stage in my life where I was like, man, religious people are fucking dumb. They believe there's a fucking strange guy in the clouds. And man, these people are dumb. And it's like, I no longer think that way. I haven't thought that way in fucking decades now. But the point is, I do think that there is oftentimes a net positive to religion, because if people are scared of going to hell if they do something bad, and that acts as a deterrent, and they don't do the bad thing, doesn't that end up being a positive thing overall in society? Well, it is.
I'll say this: if the only reason you're a Christian is because you're scared of hell, you're not a Christian.
It's true. Also true.
Fear is a great motivator for a short while, and then it disappears, right? So bad people are going to do bad stuff. I think what makes religion ultimately a net good is the fact that humans throughout history have always found something to worship. It's the one constant we find in every single human tribe. They worshipped something. So it tells us that we're a worshipping being. There is a capacity within us to worship something greater than ourselves. If it's not the creator of the universe, it's going to be something else, right? You're going to find something else to worship, either games, politics, sex, whatever it is. You're going to find that
nowadays
God.
It's Mr. Beast. For most children.
Mr. Beast, it can be Mr. Beast. It can be actors and actresses. You look at Hollywood culture, actors never used to be as famous as they are now, but there are people who faint when they see Taylor Swift, right?
For me, it's Hidetaka Miyazaki. I praise Hidetaka Miyazaki.
So you're either going to worship at your creator that is the only one that can fulfill and sustain you, or you're going to worship at some idol that will literally just lead to your own destruction. Those are the two options from my perspective. And I believe that that's true. Otherwise, I wouldn't believe it. But yeah, fundamentally, I think when we get back to the topic at hand here, what EA has done is get into bed with a country that will absolutely destroy their worldview. They will rip that worldview apart.
I mean,
because
the thing the thing that we need to acknowledge also is I think that the main reason Saudi Arabia wants Electronic Arts is because of, I was going to say FIFA. It's not called FIFA anymore. It's called FC or whatever, football club, whatever you want to call it. But that's what they want. They want their football game, and they likely want the Battlefield game as well, because that's looking to be pretty friggin' profitable. And what is going to happen is a lot of these other projects, like the EA original stuff, that's going to get like no funding. Like shit like the Joseph Ferris projects that he usually does. I would imagine that Saudi Arabia is looking at that. It's like, what is this indie bullshit? No, we want big profits, big game, big football game, big guns game. And that's probably going to be it. I would imagine they don't give a fuck about RPGs or any of this other bullshit that we care about in the West. They want sports and guns. That would be what I would imagine.
Yeah, I would argue, because the reason we spoke about all of this, guys, isn't out of nowhere, right? It's because a former Dragon Age director said that EA's new owners won't censor BioWare's progressive messaging unless they want apocalyptic backlash. Right? That's his point. And the reason we went down this road is
apocalyptic backlash.
If Andrew Wilson gets a call from his new Saudi handlers saying, "Oi, that game that BioWare is working on is way too woke. We will not fund that." Who do you think Andrew Wilson is going to listen to? The developers at BioWare that so generously want to make trans bullshit, or the guy with the checkbook?
Money wins every time. I've heard it in a movie in the 90s. I forget what movie it was. Money talks and bullshit walks. Yep. It's pretty much that.
Dude, Andrew Wilson will personally march down to BioWare's offices, take every single one of those woke developers and throw them out with the check in his back pocket. That's how Andrew Wilson will react to it. Yep. So absolutely, Saudi Arabia is going to destroy the woke messaging in BioWare's games. From my perspective, not bad. I kind of like it. On the other side of things, I hate the fact that Western companies are selling out to non-Western influence.
An interesting
I don't like that.
An interesting thing that has happened is a lot of people have been seeing this as a potential positive for Electronic Arts. And I kind of feel like you and me are going to have a different viewpoint, considering that we also followed another company that, even though they weren't bought by, a complete third party, they were bought by Microsoft, which is within the same industry and all of that stuff. And you remember what our thought process was back then when we were young and naive? We used to think like, man, Activision Blizzard getting bought by Microsoft can't get any worse. Boy, were we wrong.
Oh, yes.
Good Lord, we were so wrong. It got worse. Yep. Guess what? It got real worse. Got way worse.
Got a lot worse. And I think remember what I said earlier, right? I don't agree with homosexuality, but I also don't agree that they should be killed or martyred or any of that stuff, right? I don't believe in any of that. I believe you have a right to live the way that you want to live, right? You're human. Saudi does not. Right? And I don't like the fact that they are now going to have a lot of influence on a Western company. They're going to be able to push, if they want to, I don't know if they will, but they can. We should also just probably mention here, the new prince of Saudi Arabia is actually pretty open-minded, right? Saudi Arabia, for example, a few years ago, for the first time ever, in that glorious progressive Middle Eastern country, women could finally drive for the first time ever. So clearly Saudi Arabia is a feminist leader in the Middle East, right? So maybe the new prince isn't necessarily as bad, but it still might lead to propaganda just going the other way, right? So instead of getting the left-wing propaganda, we're now going to get some Saudi propaganda that's being pushed in the games. And I want no propaganda in the games. I just want game developers to make video games. Just make a video game and stop the propaganda nonsense. And then we add to that, none of these people are good, and all of them are beyond greedy. And if you think that's not true, think about what Saudi Arabia made all of its money out of. Oil.
So there's one more,
they are big on greed.
There's one more aspect to this that we still haven't discussed that I almost forgot to bring up. This isn't just a buyout. So this is another thing that was brought up in articles and stuff, that this is one of the things that I don't know exactly how it works, but I have a general idea. But this is explained in PC Gamer, which says EA's 55 billion acquisition is the biggest leveraged buyout in private equity history. Now, leveraged buyout is a very different thing, because my understanding is a leveraged buyout means Electronic Arts takes out a massive loan. This company buys Electronic Arts and then pays for it with the loan that Electronic Arts took before they bought them.
Either that, or I'm not sure what because it can be that.
The explanation here is a leveraged buyout just means the company is bought using a combination of borrowed money or debt and private equity. The purchased company's balance sheet is used as collateral against the loans taken out to purchase it. In other words, leverage is the leveraged buyout is debt. And crucially, the collateral for its debt is the assets of the acquired company, not of the private equity firm itself. The investors are able to limit how much capital they have to supply for the buyout, while limiting their financial risk if the loan, in EA's case, a $20 billion loan from JP Morgan, proves insurmountable. So basically, they took a loan of $20 million, and part of that $20 million is going to be used to actually pay for the purchase of the company itself. Which, when you think about the fucking financial, moves, it's so, like, I don't know how any of this shit works, because I'm a terrible business.
You and I, by the way, but you and I, by the way, can't do that.
Yeah.
So, for example, in South African law, at least, let's say I want to buy your house, right? But I don't have the money or the leverage to buy the house. You can't lend me the money to buy your house, right? I have to go to the bank for that house. You can't just borrow it to me and then I pay you back. That's not how it works. That's illegal. But here they can absolutely do that. But yeah, it can also just be leveraged from other people. So basically all they're saying is this private equity firm didn't have enough money of its own to buy EA, and so it leveraged it from a bunch of others.
No.
The reason this is really bad.
It was a $20 billion loan from JP Morgan. EA took that $20 billion loan, and that's kind of like the leverage, is my understanding.
But that's the thing. EA isn't the only one that leveraged. The private equity firm probably went to the Saudi wealth fund, as well as a couple of others, and borrowed money from them to make up the rest of the 55 billion in order to buy EA. Right, so it's sort of EA supplied some of it, and then some of the others supplied it. So the company itself didn't, but this is why it's dangerous. If EA continues to release flops, those people who have given money, remember, they just want their money back. Yep. They don't give a shit about anything else. So they'll sell EA off bit by bit, piece by piece, in order to get their money back. It's literally that Will Ferrell meme, pay my money, bitch. Yeah, that's literally what it will be every
Bitch
single
better have
day.
my money.
So EA will have to fix a lot of stuff, because EA right now isn't in a good spot. And so, it's going to be very interesting to see where this ultimately goes. I think leveraged buyouts is very risky, because the people who are leveraging you, so the people who are giving you the money, remember, they're not interested in making games. They're not interested in the preservation of video gaming. They're interested in making money. So if you're not turning in profit, they'll just demand their money back by the sale of all of your IPs to anyone that's willing to buy it. Sad but true. Then let's move to a topic that you genuinely wanted to discuss, and really one of the few reasons we're actually doing the podcast this week, because there wasn't a lot of other news. Games coming out in March, Q1 of 2026.
I kind of feel like this is an interesting thing to discuss, just from an overall gaming company attitude over the last couple of years, because we used to have the situation where October is like the biggest month because you're close to the holidays and etc. And people buy it, and then those games go like 10%, 20% on sale during Christmas, and it's another big wave of buys. Like, that's what it used to be. But fiscal year, people have been doing, like, again, it's all these financial games that I usually don't even pay that much attention to, but end of fiscal year is usually where people want to release big titles to show like huge profits, huge lines going up, to show mega value on their respective companies.
Yeah, you want to see the pump there.
Yeah, you want to see the pump near that fiscal year. And I've noticed more and more that, and this is not something like from now, this is like over the past decade, more and more companies are doing this thing where March and February is just giga stacked. So I forget what exactly was the release date of Elden Ring. Well, wasn't it around March? Let me see. Elden Ring release date. Just out of curiosity.
I know Monster Hunter was.
It was February. It was February. So it's like February, March, that thing. Monster Hunter was the same thing. It was like the 28th of February or something like that. Yeah. The most successful Monster Hunter before that one, so Monster Hunter World, was 28th of January as well. So all of them coming out within that end of Q1 type of situation, and tons of games are doing that, and sometimes they even might get pushed a little bit ahead of time, like we've talked about the performance issues of Monster Hunter. Even though people say that I'm a big glazer, I love the game. I can acknowledge there's performance issues, all of that stuff, all the same. And it seems like we're going to be seeing quite a repeat of that, because at least games that I care about, because, you know, usually I just note down the games that I'm interested in playing, they're all coming out on top of each other, bro. So on the 30th of January, we have Code Vein 2, which is anime Souls-like type of deal. On the 6th of February, we have Neo 3. So this is literally like 1 week away, right? So Neo 3, 6th of February. Then on March 13th, actually before that, at some point further ahead in February, this is a game that I don't play, but it's also very popular. The next Yakuza game, that's coming out after Neo 3. And then on the 13th of March, we're getting Monster Hunter Stories 3, which is a game I'm super excited to play. And then on the 19th of March, we're going to get Crimson Desert, which I'm also super excited to play. Then on
I'm excited for Crimson Desert.
On the 20th of March, we're getting Saros, which is one of the latest releases for PlayStation from Housemarque. And this is, by the way, with us not knowing the release dates of Phantom Blade Zero, Valor Mortis, Onimusha, and Pragmata. It is insanely stacked. It is crazy. Yeah. I have no idea what is going on and why every time companies seem to be making this decision. It's like, no, it needs to come out end of fiscal year. Doesn't matter if it's ready or not. It's like everybody's fighting for that same slot, and it's very frustrating.
I think the problem, or I think what started to happen is gaming companies have finally woken up to the fact that games are evergreen. Gamers are going to buy games no matter when they come out. If it's a game they want to play, they're going to buy it. Whereas a lot of people buy stuff over Christmas that they literally will not buy any other time of the year. They'll wait for the Christmas special to go live. They'll wait for that. So I think it's given companies a bit more grace to go, oh, well, in that case, let's go a little bit further. The problem now becomes, because it's end of year, if that game isn't ready, the pressure is so much higher. Because if you were shooting for an October release and the game isn't quite ready, you still have quite a few months to go before year end.
November, right? You can even do December, like very beginning of December.
Or January or February, right? And still make it. If you want to release on 15th of March, and the 1st of March, you realize, guys, this game is broken as shit. If you go later than that, it's the next year. And you have maybe, because you get a lot of studios that release maybe one game a year or one game every 2 years. That means that you could have an entire 2 years with no new games. That's going to be terrible for investors that want to see line go up, right? So it's going to incentivize, sadly, more and more disgusting business practices from gaming companies as they try and squeeze the game to come out in March. That's the sad part of it. The good part of it is we are seeing more big releases almost all throughout the year now.
Yeah.
Instead of just, all of the games coming around October, November, and you're just like, dude, I don't have time to play all of this crap. Why is it? But nowadays it's sort of like,
now you don't have time to play all this crap in March, because I don't have time to play all this crap. Like Stories 3, you're talking about at least like 100 plus hours of video game, and then literally a week later,
I don't have time to play anything.
Comes Crimson Desert.
the problem is every single day now, I look at all the games and I'm like, dude, where the hell am I supposed to find the time?
Yeah.
Because there's so many games now that I want to play, but I don't have the time for it. And then every single time I get sidetracked. So, for example, I saw a new game on Xbox Game Pass, actually. Endless Legends 2 came out. And I started playing that, and oh boy, what a game. What a fun game. It's sort of like, for those of you that don't know, Civilization,
yeah,
but fantasy. It's like super fantasy. Really, really fun. So that now steals a bunch of my time, and I was actually supposed to start playing Dune, because I was really looking forward to Dune Awakening, but then I started playing Endless Legends, and I was like, oh, I want to play this now instead. So I'll play Dune later, I guess. But yeah, it's just, there's so many new games that's coming out, and especially now with how amazing indie games have become, it's sort of like, in the past, maybe you had 4 or 5 major AAA titles to look forward to, right? And if most indie games weren't even worth paying attention to. Now, it's like, okay, I have 1 or 2 AAA games to look forward to, but I have dozens of indie games that is coming out, that might be coming out. I just saw earlier today, what's that game that you really enjoy?
Monster Hunter?
Enshrouded. Enshrouded has massive plans. Pal World has massive plans for stuff in the future. Balright is another survival game that also has insane plans for the future. Like these indie games are just going from strength to strength. Just continuously releasing things that I would argue not only competes with AAA, but in some cases actually beats the crap out of AAA. Because they're oftentimes, because they're indie, they can take more risks. And because they can take more risks, they come up with a lot more interesting gameplay mechanics that oftentimes your AAA companies just won't do because it's too risky.
Yep.
So yeah, I would like to talk about this drama segment that you have listed here. Is it juicy?
Monster Hunter drama. So I had a little.
I just want to say, there were probably people who started watching this thinking, is Rurikhan going to talk about this, or is it going to be a shill bitch? Right? And they sat for 1 hour and 26 minutes thinking, he's the shill mother. I knew he wasn't going to talk about this.
I'm going to be called a shill no matter what I do. I can criticize Capcom and still be called a shill. I just tune it out nowadays. I'm just like, whatever.
It's like, wow.
Yes, I'm a shill. Checks in the mail,
video,
bitch, making my bag and all of that bullshit that influencers.
It's like, wow.
Influencers say, yes, big shill. It's me.
I would make a video about WoW, and I would be called a hater. I'm just hating on Blizzard. Yeah. The next video, I'd be called a shill. And I'm like, dude, both of these cannot be true at the same time. Like, what are we doing?
Annoying. But yeah, so there was a situation last week. Well, not last week. I think it might have been this week. I forget exactly when it was. No, it was last week when they announced they showcased like Omega, and I don't know if you know what's been happening in Monster Hunter. So there's the Final Fantasy 14 boss. I don't think you got there because it was the Stormblood expansion. I don't think you ever got the Stormblood.
No, I never got the Stormblood. I still have to get there.
But there's a raid series in Stormblood, which is Omega. Omega is a big robot that looks kind of like a beetle, and he shoots lasers and missiles and all this thing. And the lore behind Omega is that he is an entity that is designed to seek out powerful foes in other dimensions so that he can learn and evolve and become the ultimate weapon imaginable. That's like the whole thing about Omega. So in a lot of ways, it actually makes sense that Omega would come to the world of Monster Hunter because there's a bunch of monsters there that are quite formidable, and he can study them and evolve from them and become a more efficient killing machine, right?
Mm-hmm.
So there's a collaboration between Final Fantasy 14 and Monster Hunter Wilds, which here's another interesting thing. There was a live stream on Saturday, I think, which had 2 Monster Hunter developers. So the series producer and the game director, Ryozo Sugimoto and Yuya Tokuda, and they sat down with Yoshi P to do the fight that is in Monster Hunter. So Yoshi P's playing Monster Hunter Wilds, and they defeat Omega. Wow. So it was really just cool, fun moment, right?
Yeah.
A lot of the people in my community were all excited to fight Omega because Omega is really fun, but there's a lot of people that are more on the purist side of things of Monster Hunter, like, it's a robot, it's not a monster, it's from another game. I can't believe this title update is basically just the monster from this other game. And, there's people that are upset with that. And then there's also people that, because it's trendy right now to shit on Monster Hunter, there's people that just want to shit on Monster Hunter. So what they do is they go to whatever happens to be the most popular stream at the moment, or whatever, just like random stream that they find, and they go in there and it's like, fucking shit game, can't believe this fucking garbage ass game. And it's like, and somebody goes into my chat and they're like, there's nothing to do in Monster Hunter, and I'm just like, probably this person has like 200 or 300 hours in the game. And their philosophy is like, there's nothing to do in this game. So number one, right now you can farm for charms, which is not my favorite thing, but there's like basically a consistent grind that you can do to upgrade your character if that's something that you're into. If you're into the whole live service spiel of make number go up, there's plenty of shit for you to do. There's plenty of stuff for you to grind if that's what you like doing. It's not what I like doing. It's not why I play the game. But there is content there. You can also roll the Ardean weapons. So there's that, and there's the 9-5 monsters, which are way more challenging than the monsters of the game before it. And this is before even Omega is added to the game. So a lot of us are like excited for the new content that is coming and all of this stuff. This is with everyone still acknowledging there's performance issues, there's other problems with the game, absolutely, but we're still excited for what's coming. And this person comes in, there's nothing to do. And I was like, okay, what do you want? What the fuck do you actually want? Because this is not Destiny. And I just had like a bit of a rant going because there's a lot of people that have this notion. It's like Monster Hunter is a live service game now. And it's like, it's not.
Yeah.
Capcom themselves told me it's not. So it's like,
it's 100% live service.
It's 100%. Not. It's not a live service.
100%. 100% live service.
Yeah, but
super live service, cash shops and everything.
Yeah, I mean there is a cash shop, and that is something that I've criticized when they announced Omega.
I know. I'm joking because people see cash shop and they see ongoing development.
Yeah,
as
they assume live
that's
service.
Live service, and it's like, well, live service is also the idea that it never actually ends.
Yeah,
whereas this does have an end, right?
Yeah,
it's just
we all know that it's going to last for like 1 or 2 years, and then the master rank version comes out, and that lasts for 1 or 2 years, and then it's done, and then it's the next game that they're going to be working on. That's how Monster Hunter has always worked. But there's these people that just bring this idea that they want like the fucking season pass to grind for whatever. They don't just want to play the game. They want the company to turn the screws and force them to play the game. And if the company doesn't force them to play the game, they can't motivate themselves to play the game, which is just a really strange point that we've gotten into. But basically I had a bit of a rant where I was just like, listen, this is not Destiny. You don't get a fucking hamster wheel in here. If you're done with the game, you're done with the game. And that's the beauty of it. You can be done and you can move on. You can go play something else. But anyway, there's plenty to do in the game. I had that bit of a rant. And now, since then, Omega has come out. And Monster Hunter Wilds is getting review bombed.
Oh, of course.
Now, initially, I thought that very much like Iceborne, Monster Hunter World Iceborne, what happened there was they came out with Latreon, really tough challenge. People review bombed the game specifically because of Elatrion. Like, people were mad. Like, this is too hard. It's unfair. You know, you need to nerf it, whatever. You know, just like people shitting all over the game because of Elatrion. Then Fatalis, which was, some could argue which one of those is harder, Elatrion or Fatalis, depends on your skill set. But Fatalis comes out, also super hard. And once again, people review bomb the game. So this time, Omega comes out. I go to the Steam reviews. I see a big red line going down. And I'm just like, oh, here we go again. Omega too hard, huh? I guess Omega kicking too much ass or something. Turns out that's not exactly why. And that's kind of like the part of the drama. So I put the post out there and I'm like, oh, we're doing this again. You get a little bit of pushback and you cry like a fucking baby. But what happens is a lot of the complaints there are actually performance. So apparently the game started crashing for a lot of people with Title Update 3. I haven't experienced these crashes. I haven't experienced any of this. But then the interesting part is, because now I no longer know how much I can trust the Steam reviews of people that are saying that their game is crashing, because it's been super trendy to hate on Monster Hunter Wilds, so people will just do it at the drop of a dime. That's evidence number one. Number two, a lot of people like to use this thing called RE Framework, which is basically a modding tool for Monster Hunter. So that they can basically, it's almost like what's the WoW UI tool, you know, where you can just load a bunch of fucking mods into it. RE Framework does the same thing, but for Monster Hunter Wilds. So a lot of people have this thing installed and they've been using it. And apparently the latest title update breaks that. And the interesting thing is, people have told me that even in the instructions of RE Framework on the website, it tells people when title updates come out, you delete this file and then you install again and then you're good. But a lot of people didn't do that. And therefore, a lot of people's crashes have also been because of RE Framework. But then there's people that are coming out and there's actually, I never installed RE Framework. My shit's crashing all over the place. And I'm like, I don't know who to trust anymore, because I know a bunch of people that have NVIDIA cards. They're not crashing. I have an AMD card. I'm not crashing. I don't even have the latest AMD card. I have a 7900 XTX. I'm not crashing. Most of the content creators that I know are not crashing. And it's like, I don't fucking know why you're crashing, bro. I don't fucking know. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe it is the game. Maybe it's because you don't know how to deal with RE Framework. I had somebody on Twitter, okay? I don't know if it was on Twitter or on my comment section. Now listen to this. This will break your mind. They're like, fucking Monster Hunter Wilds makes my Discord crash. I'm like, okay, bro. Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure. Yes. You know what? I was walking down the street the other day. I tripped over the sidewalk and I just went, fucking Monster Hunter Wilds, bro. Goddamn, made me trip on the sidewalk. I mean, come on, dude. Discord crashes.
Monster Hunter Wilds is to blame for me not getting enough views.
Yeah. My wife didn't feel like having sex last night. Fucking Monster Hunter Wilds.
Monster Hunter.
What the fuck?
It's like people are, the problem is that people don't really read and people don't really think, right? And people also don't, whatever is easiest to blame, that's what they'll blame. Yeah. And sadly, because of how Monster Hunter, and I feel so bad for the developers because they tried something brand new. And it was always going to suck the first time around. There's nothing you can do. You're trying something new. It was always going to suck, right? But sadly, because it started off quite poorly, it has now created this air of criticism. My hope, my prayer,
it's never going to go away,
is that the developers go, okay, this was our first attempt at this. We started off with sort of like a negative feeling, and now people are just constantly feeling more critical of our game. But let's not go back to what used to work. Let's move forward on this. Because the next time we do this open world thing, it's going to be better. And we're going to be able to do it better.
But it is important to also point out, like, before people start going like, oh, full fucking shit. It's like, no, there are performance issues. Yes. Maybe there's some people that are legitimately crashing the game right now. Yes. But it's very hard for me to figure out whether or not that is the case, because there's also a lot of people right now that their shit crashed because of RE Framework and they're blatantly lying, saying that their shit crashed and they didn't have RE Framework. So it's like, it's going to be rough to interpret the situation one way or another, but I will acknowledge there are problems. And on top of that, I'll acknowledge something else, which I said even during the presentation, I said it, which is like, you shouldn't be putting out more paid DLC. I've said this to Capcom to their face straight up when I was at Gamescom. I was like, you guys should not. I've said this to people that you don't even know from Capcom that are actually in decision-making positions. I've said, you should absolutely not release more paid DLC. This is a massive mistake. You shouldn't do it, and I'm going to disavow it if you do. You know, it is what it is, but, you know, I have no fucking power. It's like, whatever. But ultimately, the second that they announce, oh yeah, and also here's a new paid DLC pack, and I'm like, no, you need to fix the performance before you ask people for more money. Like, this is fucked up, and you're gonna get slammed into reviews. Probably a big reason why you're getting slammed is because of that additional paid DLC, which you shouldn't have done. Now, they've also put out a bunch of free DLC.
Yeah.
That's the thing. There's also a bunch of free shit in there, so...
I will just say it's Blizzard in Shadowlands. For those of you that don't know what I'm referring to, during Shadowlands there was a hold up, no. It's the same concept. It's the game. This is I'm talking about what it creates in the mind of the player.
Oh yeah.
During Shadowlands, Blizzard had a 9-month period of just nothing. Right, nothing happened. Shortly before the 9-month period starts, guess what Blizzard does? They bring out a new 6-month sub mount. You sub for 6 months, you get a mount. For 6 months, there's no new content coming out. Not a single patch, not an update, nothing. It's just death. And deathly silent. They're not even saying anything. Guess what they do in the middle of this? Another 6-month sub mount at the end of it. And people still bought it. Shop stuff in this. And for a lot of people, this was just the most, myself included, this was the moment that I realized Blizzard is beyond saving. Yeah. And ever since then, I have treated Blizzard as a company that is beyond saving. Because in that moment, I realized this company doesn't give a crap. And the problem that Monster Hunter is facing is because their game still struggles with a lot of performance issues. If you now go and you release a paid-for DLC, what people experience is just greed.
Yeah, of course.
Your game isn't working. I'm struggling to play your bloody game. And you think you can sell me a bunch of shit? Fix the game so that I can play normally, and then you can sell me whatever you want. I don't care. Because what companies need to understand is no one is ever firmly for a cash shop. People will tolerate a cash shop
if the game is good.
Yeah, provided that the game is really, really good. But no one actually
wants the cash shop.
Yeah, no one watches the preview for Witcher 4 and think, oh boy, I wonder if there's a cash shop. I can't wait to see what I can buy on the cash shop. Right? No one's thinking that. Yeah. People are thinking, oh, it's so cool. The graphics are so cool. And then you find out it has a cash shop and you go, oh, I hope it isn't egregious. Right? I hope it doesn't lock content behind it. But that's sort of the relationship that people have with a cash shop.
But the other aspect of this update, oh my God, bro. The Omega fight. Oh my God, it is so fucking good. I've been so incredibly. So there's 2 versions of it, very much like the same way that, Final Fantasy has different difficulties for their raids. They have the raid and then they have the Savage raid, which is basically the equivalent of World of Warcraft. You have your heroic, not really heroic, probably normal. You have your normal and then your mythic. That would be the equivalent step up in terms of these 2 different versions of the fight. So you go in there, you do the fight, you get like a brand new armor set, which is based on the Dark Knight job of Final Fantasy XIV. You get a new Great Sword, which is also the Dark Knight Great Sword from Final Fantasy XIV. So you basically become a Dark Knight. On top of that, they add abilities from Final Fantasy XIV into the game. So the Dark Knight Sword has like this special ability when you attack, it does like these arcs of energy that go through that deal additional damage. Wow. Yeah, so it's just like a Dark Knight in Final Fantasy XIV. And then the armor set gives you the Dark Knight ability, the Blackest Night, which is the damage mitigation ability that you have in Final Fantasy XIV. And then it gets converted into additional damage once the shield explodes or expires. So all that aspect, phenomenal. The normal fight, I think, is super achievable by most people. You're probably going to wipe in there like a couple of times, but then eventually you're going to beat it. Even with complete randoms, should be absolutely fine. But then when you get to the Savage version, so I progged it for 20 hours before I got my first clear.
Wow. Okay.
And that was amazing, because to me, that it just brings back that old school rating energy that I would get from MMOs, which is the point of a collab, is to give like, here's what it would be like to play Final Fantasy XIV. You're expected to wipe a bunch of times in this encounter until you understand the mechanics and you understand how to get it done. And it's like, at this point, I probably have around 30 hours of Omega Savage runs, and I've gotten 5 clears in those 30 hours.
Wow.
5
so
clears.
It's a pretty hard fight.
Yeah,
it's a pretty difficult fight.
It is a very challenging fight, but it is so much fun. I just love the fact that it's so much fun. But here's a very interesting thing that's been happening. So a lot of people have been complaining that they think it's too hard. They think it's impossible. They think it needs to be nerfed. And it's just, it's just one of those things that I just feel like a lot of people in Monster Hunter, they don't want rating mechanics.
Yeah.
But at that point, it's like, this is an optional fight. You don't have to do it. You can just like, okay, I'll do the normal version and then be out, and that's fine. You don't have to do the fight. It's just, it's a very hard fight, and you're meant to struggle with it for a very long time until people start figuring it out and start learning the strategies and guides start coming out for it. And then it's going to become progressively easier as people start getting the hang of it, because there's no power creep really, unless in the next title update patch they introduce like, oh, here's more armor spheres, your armor can get better now, here's like a better armor set that has better skills or whatever. Because right now there's no way to out level this. You have to deal with the mechanics. You have to play within the mechanics.
Yeah.
And it's super satisfying. And here's the interesting thing that has happened. I have played more multiplayer matches in Monster Hunter in these last 3 days than I have played in the last 6 months or whatever since the game's been out.
Oh, that's awesome, actually.
And I think that a lot of people in the community is the same thing. Because why? Because you have to. Because you need to. I mean, it is actually soloable with NPC companions, but to me, it's just not as fun. It's just not nearly as fun. It's also, depending on the weapon that you use, it can actually be harder with the NPC companions, but it's just not as fun to do with an NPC companions because, you know, it's just a bunch of robots that are in there going around, going through the motions because they program the companions to know how to do the mechanics in a way where it's not super optimal, but it's also in a way that they don't get in the way and they don't cart, so they don't eat up your feints and shit like that. So it's just been really funny to see the community all get together. And I think that this is something that we need more in games that do have co-op multiplayer is you need a reason for people to play together. It can't just be, oh, let's play together because what's been happening with Wilds before that was like, I didn't really want it to play with other people because it would make the challenge meaningless. Like I go in there with 3 other people. It's a gathering quest. We're going in there just to extract materials from the monster. The monster's not going to do anything. It's just going to keel over and die. And Omega will just like straight fucking clap pre-mades of 4 people left, right, and fucking center. And it's lovely to see. I adore it. It's so good.
I think that's the way to do it, right? We've had this discussion for years in World of Warcraft where the easier you make things, the more accessible you make things, the less reason there is to play together.
Exactly.
The less reason people have to make friends. Adversity and friction creates the perfect environment for friendship.
Absolutely.
You need friends in order to get this done, and so you make friends with people. You remove the friction. I'll just do whatever is easiest for me, and easier is people are always going to introduce complications, right? That's just how it works. When you're forced to have a guild or forced to have a friend group in Monster Hunter to go and kill this thing, they're going to create complications, right? You want to play tonight, but your friends can't play. Or your friend has an off day and whatever the case may be, right? But that's also a new friendship that you've just made, right? That's a new friend that you've made that you can play video games with. So I love it. I think that's the right way to do it.
It's actually interesting that I've actually played with so many content creators since this stuff come out, like friends of mine that I know. It's just we didn't really have much of a reason to play together because we all knew that's like, well, if we get together, considering our current skill level of the game, there's not going to be anything that's really going to meaningfully challenge us. Now we're getting together and we're getting fucking wiped left, right, and center, and it feels great because we're constantly going like, okay, listen, we're going to change this thing now, and I'm going to go like this. Like just yesterday, usually I always play the gun lance, my favorite weapon, but gun lance is really hard to play on Omega because Omega moves too fast and gun lance has slow animations. So I was like, all right, let me try the lance. It was literally my first time playing with the lance, and we just go in there and we kill it. It's like, yeah, fuck it, let's go. So I just changed my weapon and you change strategies and shit. And it's just like a ton of fun. I love it. I'm addicted to it.
I like that.
Yeah.
We're going to end with just a little story here. Genuinely, guys, this is a little story because we don't know much about it, but I thought it was still interesting to know. So China has been accused of stealing brain data from athletes, including Charles Leclerc, who I think is a Formula One driver. Now, effectively, this comes from, you get these headbands that monitor your brainwaves, And athletes will oftentimes use those. So while they're driving, for example, in the F1 cars or playing tennis, they'll use that because looking at your brain waves and the recording thereof can tell you when you're super calm and how you play when you're super calm versus when you start to get stressed and how you play, and learning how to sort of manipulate that in order to be locked in and focused at all times. Turns out that one of the companies that was sort of collecting this data was also sharing the data with scraping companies, and these scraping companies belong to the CCP, the Chinese Communist Party. And the Chinese Communist Party is using this data to train super soldiers that can go into war and basically be completely calm, make the right decisions at the right time, all this stuff. And it just, again, highlights the need that we have for massive amounts of legislation around data. I think there's far too much data out there for every single human being, and most of us have no power over our own data. We can't request that our data get deleted on a daily basis, which would stop stuff like this from happening. It's sort of like once your data's out there, they can do whatever they want with it.
You know, the last time I left an MCN, you know what they asked me?
Mm-hmm. No?
How would you like to sell us your channel? How would you like to let us scrape your channel for AI for like a couple of $1,000s?
What?
I was like, no. I don't want you scrubbing nothing. What the fuck do you mean?
Yeah.
They're probably going to do it anyways, because what the fuck am I going to do about it? But no. I don't want your fucking blood money, bro. Fucking get the fuck out of here.
But it is insane. And I do think it's getting to a point now where we need legislation that stops this nonsense.
Absolutely.
But yeah, that's the end of the show, boys. That's
dude.
Rurikhan wants to show you guys something, so
check that out. Look at that.
Oh,
you know what that is? He doesn't have a head yet because it's easier to paint them without a head.
Yeah.
This is
Space Marine.
Death Watch Space Marine.
Oh, the Death Watch is so cool though.
Yeah, I'm making a Death Watch kill team because they nerfed the fuck out of both of my dwarf teams, and it's like, oh, I totally didn't see that coming. They already kind of sucked. And so you decided, like, no, you can't even have a chance of winning. You have to be at the bottom of the tier. You fucking dwarves. That's what you get. And I was like, all right, I'm going to pick up a death team and fucking murder everybody now. Have fun.
Death Watch is always cool.
Yeah.
But ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. If you have watched up until now, I want you to comment the word meow. Just meow. So that anyone else that looks in the comments will go, the hell happened here?
You know the funny thing? I forgot about this segment in the last podcast. So when I started looking at the comments, just like people typing poo game, I'm like, what the fuck is this? So I was the person that got trolled by it. I was like, what is going on? Why are people typing poo game? What game are they? And then I remembered, oh, right. Accolonn said that thing.
Yeah. So type meow in the comment section, and everyone else will be super confused, including Rurikhan in about a week when he looks at the comment section and goes, the hell are they doing? But, ladies and gentlemen, we truly appreciate you all for watching, for spending time with us. We hope you enjoyed your time with us. Rurikhan, thank you so much for joining us. As always, be good to each other, be kind to each other, and we will see all of you in the next one. Peace.